Welcome, Internet. Welcome, world. We are back with another episode of the world's most consistently inconsistent podcast ever. As always, I'm your boy John, and I'm joined with my two co-hosts.
Dev?
Okay.
How y'all been? At this point, by the time this episode drops, it'll be nearly 3 weeks, and the world has gone to flames once again. So now this is highly unusual for us. Usually, we just kind of get right into the swing of things, but just given the last week and a half, 2 weeks, we're going to take a quick moment of silence here and say big ups to anyone who lost someone in the recent set of shootings. Thoughts and prayers at this point in America almost mean nothing, but we here don't believe in gun violence, so we're going to take a quick moment of silence before we kind of talk through this episode, just to give some respect to people who by all means didn't deserve it. All right, and honestly, I do pray for everyone in Colorado. If you lost a loved one, again, I can't tell you how to grieve, but I hate to be heavy like this, kind of start an episode, but it just seems to be the way of the world that we're in right now. So again, to anyone who lost someone in Colorado, I can only say that we grieve with you, and I wouldn't wish that even on my worst enemy personally. What say you, fellas?
Yeah, the same. I would never wish that upon anyone. I am sorry for your losses there. The only thing I can say is hopefully try to not let this grief consume you.
I agree with both sentiments. I do think um, us as voting people or whatnot, like it is our responsibility to essentially lobby and petition for a better situation nationwide when it comes to protecting children. Because at the end of the day, these kids are getting murdered everywhere between churches to schools to parks to just places that kids are supposed to be, right? And us being like older, us being millennials, we spent like a good chunk of our childhood just outside. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Unsupervised, just enjoying life. And actively, it seems as though that's being stripped away from a whole generation, which is forcing them to be inside, online, in echo chambers with, again, dead internet theory, engaging with bots or just hateful people. You know what I'm saying? And it's not fair. It sucks. The kids deserve a better future than what we're currently given. So I do grieve. I do sympathize, empathize, do pray for everyone who's a victim out there. Um, and we just need to make the world a better place for everybody moving forward. Like this is ridiculous, in my opinion. So yeah.
And excuse me. And in that vein, real quick before we kind of, because spoiler alert, TLDR, whatever you want to use, this is going to be a pretty heavy episode. As we kind of go through lots of thoughts. So just heads up now. But real quick, as a semi light way of kind of starting the rest of this episode here, I just have one question, and this came to me because honestly, the way we are in the world right now, you would think that as a human society, the goal is to leave a better world than the one we lived in for the next generation. At least I would hope that to be the hope. So for me, what is one thing that you wouldn't pass down to your kids or the next generation, um, if you had the power to do so?
I saw a video the other night by this guy. I forget his name. Black gentleman. He wears big glasses. He had a hat on, and he was saying he was like you hating someone off of something that they can't change is cowardly. Like you being a racist is cowardly. You being a misogynist, like hating women because they're women, is cowardly. He was like, I hate people for a good reason. Like he said, I keep a list of people that I hate, and it's reasons behind it. It is character. It is what you've continuously done. Um, what I would pass down to my children, which was kind of like instilled on my mother's side and even my dad's side, because they were integrating things very radical and stuff like that as well in their own right. Um, it's okay to be intolerant to intolerance. Like, I hear you. A lot of people, a lot of us in the black community were raised in like churches and things like that. And when it comes to dealing with opposition, adversaries, people always like to throw around, turn the other cheek, da 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 da. No, that's what got Jesus killed. Like, no, it's okay to be intolerant to intolerance. You do not have to accept someone's hate just because somebody wrote something in the Middle East a couple thousand years ago. Like, that's not how this. No, if they pick on you, they want to joke on you, blah blah blah. Use your mind, use your words first. If they touch you, I want to be making a visit to the school that day. That's how I want you to handle it. Don't start anything, but finish everything. That's me.
Okay.
Fair enough. For me, if I could leave one thing to future generations, if I had the like pure unadulterated power to do so, if I could leave one thing behind, is the ability to call out and continuously shame things that we should have grown past, and make that have an effect. Because the world we live in now, you can't shame anybody worth of anything without them seeing it as some kind of weird badge of honor, and that should not exist in our society at this point. I crystallized this from that one white guy on that Jubilee episode of Hassan Minaj when he was like, "Yeah, I'm a fascist," and he smiled it off, and everyone was clapping. What's that? No, we should have shamed that years ago. Everyone should know that's fundamentally wrong. That no, we need to have proper shame for intolerance, like you said, intolerant things that we should have grown past as a society ages ago.
Honestly, for me, the thing that I would want to pass down to future generations would be the ability to question everything. Like, right now, we live in a society where people see something on Facebook or on TikTok or Instagram, and they take that for the absolute truth and don't look any further than that. That is why we are in our situation that we're in right now, both here in the US as well as in other countries as well. People just take whatever they are told, don't look any further into it, and then you find yourselves in all sorts of different trouble. I need
Honestly,
people to ask those kind of questions, like, why do we do the things that we do? Why do we allow some of the things that we're allowing now? Because that's the only way that we advance as a society.
in a weird way, like it's a good point, Dev, but at the same time, it's a weird way. It feels like as a society, we both ask too much and ask too little all at the same time. Case in point, all these people talking about, I just question the vaccine's efficacy. Like we have been using them for 80 plus years at this point with minimal side effects whatsoever.
I feel
So,
Devin's comment
It's like I said, it's a weird dichotomy because you're right. People should question everything. Like if someone tells you something, you should be able to be like who, what, where, when, why, and they should be able to give you a real, you know, thought out responses.
well, see, I feel like with the question of like, oh, hey, I question the efficacy of vaccine. That's perfectly fine to go and question that, but then you should do your research at that point. That's the part that people aren't doing.
and when we say do your research, we mean actual like, for instance, your example was the vaccines. Do research from actual scholars who are practicing in their field. Do
Mm-hmm.
not go to like, I can't state this enough. If you're questioning, like, again, watch a lot of debate content. One of the guys that I watch, he went to seminary, he was geared up to become a pastor, has 2 degrees, and then he deconstructed from the faith. Because the more that you get into like any religion, you're going to be studying more and asking more questions. And if you're doing your research and the questions and the critiques aren't lining up with what you're being told, that's when there needs to be like a shift there. So he did that.
Mm-hmm.
But that comes from hours of researching. like truthfully researching things to get the best answer, not an answer that aligns with your beliefs, to get the answer. And again, I think that that's really like you have a again, I say this all the time. You have a computer in your pocket. Just start there. Just Googling something. Peer-reviewed articles. If you're looking for things about science, go to the science newsletters, those forums.
Use Google Scholar, not regular Google.
Because again, I can guarantee you, whatever question that you think that you have, someone smarter than you has already asked it.
Or reviewed it.
Thank you. Or questioned it, and they have better sources than you do. Period. Again, I'm not the smartest person in the room. I hate being the smartest person in the room. I feel like I feel like I'm in the wrong room if I'm the smartest person. So I avoid that. I like to hang
Mm-hmm.
around, talk to, engage with other smart people because it sharpens your sword. You can't just, I don't know. I'm getting worked up. We haven't even really got started yet. Let me chill. Let me chill.
Well, well, see, you've got a good point though. Like, we also live in a world where we also have AI, which again, I will say this again and again, it should be used as a tool. You can go ahead and ask questions like that and then ask it to cite its sources, as well as ask it to present the counter argument and cite the sources for that. In which case, it's done some of the work for you. It's told you where to go, and then you can go ahead and read up and do the research. You don't have to try to figure out, well, where do I go to find the information? It will tell you where you can start, and then you kind of follow the breadcrumbs from there.
And then again, don't shame Wikipedia as a jumping off point. Do not use it as the only source. Jesus Christ. Do not use it as the only source.
That is
This
one
is
thing we
stuff
all
we've been-
learned.
This is stuff we've been telling y'all our generation were kids. Wikipedia should not be your primary source. And yet, it is probably one of the better sources, not perfect, one of the better sources of our current generation.
Because it can literally point you to the legitimate sources. And since it's actively being edited by people in real time, you're getting up to date sources. Like, again, also something like ground news. I see a lot of YouTubers talking about it.
I've considered a subscription.
Yeah, like right now, like got a lot of subscriptions. We're gonna have to cut down something somewhere to get it. But again, if you have the discretionary income, get that. You can run any article that you're looking at through it and see, okay, this is a very right leaning, da 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 da. Okay, it's right leaning. Who are the people from the right who are reporting this? Oh, Fox. Oh, the same Fox that got hit so bad with the lawsuit for slanderous and lying stories they can't even label themselves as a news network. It's under entertainment, Fox. Oh, you probably shouldn't use that source, my guy. Like,
Mhm.
hey, whatever, whatever. We're slow dancing our way to an authoritarian, like, whatever.
Yeah.
It's
No.
so mind blowing that we live in a world now where we have all this information at our fingertips and no one uses it.
Well, the problem is our generation grew up in the ability to. I would like to see our generation is good at discerning what's fake and wrong now, but the last year, if anything, the last 6 to 9 months, if you can do math, you know what I'm referring to, has shown that even our generation can't discern real information from what is false. The fact that people are still out here thinking that non-pasteurized milk is good for you is problematic.
Yep.
There's a reason we pasteurize milk. And for anyone who doesn't have a dictionary or know how to look up the word, pasteurizing is just a fancy way of saying boiling to the point where you kill all the parasites and or bugs in it.
And
It's a problem.
back to Devin's point, because again, we're here now. We're here now. To Devin's point, it's so bad. We have a man with the worm in his brain as the head of health, telling people, and that's not slander. The nigga has a worm in his brain. And
Yep.
from what we were talking about before we started recording, it sounds like he has a worm in his throat too. I don't know what the fuck is going on over there.
Hey, yo.
Like the
Hey,
Palpatine.
yo!
No, I meant what I said. Y'all elected Palpatine to oversee children. What the fuck were y'all doing? Anyway, with that being said, he's out here telling people about trying to get away from vaccines. This nigga's not a scientist. And in light of this, A lot of these dumb truck, dumb fucks are doing it with their kids, and there's a measles outbreak. A measles outbreak in 2025. There is a measles outbreak. What the fuck, y'all? Y'all have lost the plot. Y'all have turned hating people who are just different than you into a lifestyle, and it's literally killing your kids. That don't bother you? Like that doesn't. Okay. Okay. Cool.
Look, everyone just said, you know what? Let's go ahead and do Throwback Thursdays to 1925.
To the
Yeah, they're also gonna get throwback
measles.
Thursdays to where their kids gonna start getting thrown into iron lungs again.
Yep. Because the
Hey,
plague is back. Like the plague from history, where it was killing a bunch of white people, like terraformed their whole civilization. The plague is back because y'all stopped getting vaccines.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm chilling. I'm chilling. I'm chilling. My bad. Okay.
Yeah. But no, it's again, it's a good point, and this is why I said it's a weird dichotomy because people it's because of the spread of information. Because people will look up information and then they'll see some of the same studies, read them, and draw one conclusion. Especially since a lot of these studies don't even say what they've concluded from that study. Just take one piece, try to twist it, and then make it be like, oh yeah, because that's what the guy who's currently in charge of CDC. I'm not gonna say his name because he's an idiot, but that guy who's in charge, that's basically what he does to trick y'all, to trick everybody. He'll cite real studies, but he'll take a part of the study where it'll be like their description or what they're trying to figure out, or maybe a excerpt of, hey, this is part of what we found, but it's inconclusive. But he'll take that as the actual fact, cite it, and then make it seem like something is the complete opposite when that's not the case. Half the time when he's
Mm-hmm.
talking about vaccine studies, he'll pull studies from very specific sections where it's like, hey, we didn't find anything conclusive, but were able to determine that this thing does not mean that the vaccine doesn't work. In fact, it means it does work. Like, it'll bluntly say that in the summary. Hey, for people that don't like understanding reading scientific studies, I get it. Sometimes some things can be pretty wordy. It's cool. What you read the title, read the description or the summary or the thesis. It'll tell you what they're trying to figure out, and then read the conclusion. There you go. I saved you some time. You can do your actual research, and you don't need to know all the science. You're welcome.
So I'm gonna channel my inner Cal here. So I know some of you out there don't know how to read. You've never learned how to read, and for people like that, I'd like to introduce you to Skillshare. Skillshare.
We are not sponsored by Skillshare
You got ground rules.
yet. We're not sponsored. We ain't built like that yet, but one day, hopefully.
Oh,
And when they do, we'll click this and run it back.
yep. There we go.
All right, but yeah, no, but yeah, it's hopefully these things are things we can these are things we would like to impart on the next generation. So normally we spend a good chunk of time, talking about some current hits, making a little lighthearted humor, and just going into our first kind of light discussion before we hit our main topic. But again, it's been almost 3 weeks. The big news of the last week and a half to 2 weeks, it's too poignant, so we're just gonna jump straight into our third body breakdown because this is gonna be pretty much the bulk of the episode. Again, it's gonna be pretty heavy. There's gonna be some contentiousness for anyone who listens to this. Again, feel free. You can leave your thoughts. But we have to talk about it. But mostly, we're going to talk about it in a manner that talks about the story of it all. So, regardless of how you feel about this man, and if you haven't figured it out by now, we're going to talk about the Charlie Kirk shooting. But again, we're going to talk about it from a slightly different angle. We're going to talk about it for what it means for us as a society and what the story behind everything is. So again, regardless of what you feel about the man, we, the three of us, know we're not going to tell y'all because that's not the point. But we're just going to talk about it from what it means societally wise and story wise. So for anyone who's been under a rock, which honestly, it's not this country. Everyone's apparently not been under the rock for this, but y'all just clearly forgot about these kids in Colorado. Anyway, um, most of y'all at this point have not been on the rock. Roughly, what was it? Last Tuesday? What was it? The 16th? I think it was.
Somewhere on there.
Yeah, something like that. I'm not going to look it up. Feel free if you want to, Cal, but I'm not going to. Charlie Kirk was a, let's be real, he was a right wing propagandist speaker, was shot straight up cold blood, sniped from, was it 200 yards away, and killed right as he was getting ready to start debating several people. And he was doing this in Utah at I believe it was University of Utah. I could be wrong. Again,
Utah Valley University.
Utah Valley University. Thank you.
Mhm.
So his shooting has once again brought up controversy about the mass violence and political violence we have here in the U.S. And the crux of everything is that we as a society have to figure something out. And where do we go from here? So, firstly, we're just gonna talk about the aftermath. So again, everyone should know this by now. It's been the hottest news for the last week and a half. What I find more disgusting than anything else after the aftermath, not even 24 hours after this man was shot, the first thing that happened as a counter is the wrong word, but again, aftermath of everything that happened is the fact that these extremists immediately started targeting HBCUs and left-leaning people as they tried to make it seem like it was a leftist attack and or from a minority. So I've got words, but I'm gonna let y'all go first because I've been doing a lot of talking.
Let me say this
Go ahead.
before I gotta step away for a quick second. Let me say this, and I'll say this very bluntly and be very clear as someone who went to an HBCU. First off, ain't a lot of niggas in Utah. Let's get that out the way.
1%.
Leah, let's get that out the way. So again, this is a white on white crime issue. Immediately, this is y'all's problem. This is an within party problem as well. Because as he got popped, he was getting ready to start slandering black people and talking about black people and gang violence and things like that. Leave us out of your propaganda and your rhetoric. Y'all have enough going on. Period. Within house. Like, no pun intended. Within the White House, y'all have enough going on. Leave us out of it. Period. Finally, this is what we were talking about when I was saying these piss pillars and people getting ingratiated into online, like the online narrative and things like that, just chronically online individuals. There is a disassociative property that goes along with it. So where you don't see people as people if you're engaging like that online that often. You see them as avatars, as words next to an avatar. Maybe you have a parasocial relationship or two with like your favorite content creator. That may be Twitch, TikTok, Rumble if you're the bane of society, Kick if you're a pedophile, stuff like
Jeez,
that.
man.
It is what it is. I can't argue with the demographics, my boy.
I mean, you're not wrong. I'm not going to argue against it, but
Like that is what it is. So again, for y'all to do that, and black people, we don't be bothering y'all at all. We don't care about y'all. We have enough going on in house. We have our fun. We joke, and every time we're having a conversation or something that happens, y'all come over, listen to some shit, think you know some shit, co-opt the conversation, and then whitewash it. That's why y'all think that Gen Z slang or Gen Alpha slang or TikTok slang, that's us. Y'all just took it and whitewashed the fuck out of it. Period. Like saying things like type shift because you don't want to say type shit because you're still living in your mom's house and you got to be on TikTok. Like, or what did Justin Bieber do? It's not clocking to you that I'm standing on T, whatever the fuck Justin Bieber said. Shit like that. Do your own shit. Can the whites go back to making rock music in their garage, please? We love
Hey
that.
man, they used to make some great rock music. What happened?
Yeah, yeah.
We still love Paramore. Haley Williams is dropping she dropped a new album apparently. She like went up to a radio station with the old like tape or something, like there a CD or something, was like, here, play this shit. Boom. We love her. We love Haley Williams.
Hey,
We
she
love,
shadow dropped like she was Beyonce or something, bro.
thank you. We
Mm-hmm.
love Linkin Park, Three Doors Down, 3 Days, Nirvana, all of this. We love that. Go back to doing that. Stop trying to rap Austin from Wyoming. We don't give a fuck about cows. Leave it alone.
Wyoming catching strays.
I'm sorry. But again, this is what happens. This is what happens. And hopefully on another episode, we can talk about essentially like black creatives doing the heavy lifting, and then out of nowhere, like a white person is able to cash in off their cachet. Like my two things that I've seen so far this year have been the miscommunication and misrepresentation of him being a Jordan Peele movie. We talked about that, Jerry. So, and Highest to Lowest with Spike Lee. So where Spike Lee's name was on it, yes, but that was a white man who wrote about the black experience from a white man's perspective. Both of those movies are technically being hit for different reasons, but narratively speaking, it's for the same reason. Because you have a name, a black name that we knew who got it out the mud, did their shit, and then a white person came and like stood next to him, and now they're off to the races. No pun intended, off to the races, off to the races. I like rap. Anyway, with that being said, this is y'all's fault. This is y'all's cancer that is metastasized, and this is these are going to be your days of reckoning. You abandoned your children to the internet. You didn't teach them that being racist was bad. You didn't teach them that being a bigot was bad. You didn't teach them that being sexist was bad. You didn't teach them religion from a worldly perspective, like a full 360 view. You told them that might is right, Christ is king, every other religion is bullshit, and every other person who belongs to every other religion should be viewed as lesser and an adversary to God. This is y'all's talking points. You told them that black people have nothing to offer but violence, degeneracy, and unimaginative murders. And this is the generation that's come. Y'all have perpetually created school shooters, the likes of which are never even replicated in the rest of the world. This is strictly an American problem. Period. So you got all these school shooters, but the military has record lows in recruitment. They want to shoot niggas, but they don't want to shoot people shooting back at them. This is sick, and y'all have raised this. Period. No matter how hungry that disenfranchised, underrepresented, undercared for black kid is in the hood, is who y'all stripped away his fucking public school breakfast, so he's getting there on an empty stomach, grumbling. No matter how bad he wants to crash out, his mom's working 2 or 3 jobs, dad may be present but is not able to provide, or maybe he is gone, maybe he's off. He never took a gun to school and shot somebody up.
Rarely happens. Rarely.
And even rarer, black women. You never see black women mass shooters, when if I was a black woman, a lot of y'all are getting clapped off of principle. But again, you don't see that. We see time after time after time after time. Majority of it is white men. And then, weirdly enough, the white girls are kind of behind because there's a femcel movement as well, which is, I'm ranting because I can talk about this all day. Y'all have created this problem. Y'all have to solve this problem. We warned y'all about Project 2025. Literally, every black platform ever, even the ones that we don't respect because they sold out, like BET. Taraji got up there and was like, read Project 2025. The shit is about to get spooky. I don't want to vote. I don't care. Kamala's a woman. I'm not. And then you just put in Hitler 2.0. At least Hitler was an artist, nigga.
Terrible. Horrible.
My bad.
But is he wrong though?
But am I wrong?
He was a crappy artist. That's why he had to move to dictatorship.
But at least he was an artist, though.
He was an artist. We saw Trump's drawing to Epstein, didn't we? That's bad art. See?
I wouldn't even call it art. I would just call it disgusting. But anyway,
My bad.
See?
But I'll be back. Go ahead.
What are your thoughts while Cal disappears on us?
I mean, first off, I'm still processing the, at least Hitler was an artist portion there. So I'm
Wild.
like, I mean, you're not wrong there. Um, but yes, when it comes to the backlash, uh, you and I both talked about this, like within hours. I was already saying, all right, this is how it's going to spin. We both knew exactly how it was going to happen, but this is the playbook that you see time and time again with all of these kind of things. You're going to see, people, and I'll say this from both sides, wanting to go and spin this, in a way that completely negates what actually happens. So when it comes to the right, they immediately wanted to go with the see, this guy was talking, speaking the truth, and then he was, murdered for it. They made him a martyr. They said, oh, hey, look at all these people who would have wanted to have killed him. Anyone who's a minority, anyone who is not Christian, anyone who is, this, that, and so on and so forth. And they immediately went for that. I will go and say on the opposite side, so on the left side, they kind of immediately tried to make this a whole, you know, gun violence and gun control kind of conversation and use this as a platform there. I don't feel like that should have happened either. At the end of the day, someone died, due to all sorts of insanity there. And we'll kind of talk more about the uh, alleged shooter, at a little bit later, but that's what we should have really been focusing on. Not, okay, well, what are the beliefs of this group versus that group, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. Now, what I will say is, and this is a very rarefied air moment, the
Mm,
whole left argument, for the most part, actually didn't talk about that to almost the next day. So they were
mm,
actually like, every major Democrat was like, this is wrong. We shouldn't have political violence in this country. He shouldn't have been shot like that. That pretty much
mm,
was almost verbatim from every person on the left. Pick a politician on the left side, they probably the first thing they said. Even people that usually like to debate or argue people down to their grave, whether you're talking like someone like Hassan from Twitch or Deed Withers or Obama to, I don't know, pick someone from the left. Doesn't matter. For the most, even middle of the line toe skippers like Don Lemon were like, yeah, no, compassion for his family. I'm sorry, like, and then like as the conversation got unfortunately ramped up by the right side of our country to fake allegations, they were like, no, we do need to figure out something about control. But that again, in the immediate aftermath of this, generally speaking, growing up, I would agree with you, Dev, where like we should be giving more grace to the victims at first, especially when they have there's no dog in the fight. Again, we're coming off another shooting where several children who were praying in a church were mowed down.
mm,
Literally praying in a church. So where are your thoughts and prayers now? It means nothing. If we can't even do something about kids praying in the church.
mm,
Thoughts and prayers means jack shit. But at the end of the day, this is becoming too much of a pattern here in America. Like, we have to drill this until someone actually gives a damn to do something about it. Because, again, we are the only, as Cal said, we are the only country on the planet Earth that deals with this particular problem. And before anyone else wants to come up in here, like, protect our guns, isn't it like Sweden? Like the number two country in the world in terms of per capita of guns, which is almost the same as the US. Like I think they have, I think here in America we're like what 4-1 on guns or something like that, and they're like 2-1. Double check those facts while I'm speaking, Devin. But like
mm,
per capita, and yet it's a Nordic country. I'm pretty sure it's Sweden. They're almost as a
mm,
gun culture the same as the U.S. and they have not even a third of the shootings we have. I think it's down to like 0.5% in their country because they actually have a respect for the thing they're holding in their hands and realizing that we need to actually regulate this. Like, I get it. This is our quote unquote constitutional right. But then when it comes to someone talking smack to y'all don't give a crap about that. What happened to the freedom of the press then? Y'all selective ass Christians, like they literally treat the Bill of Rights, our 10 primary amendments, like it's a Bible verse. We're just gonna pick and choose which ones we want to fight off of, and it's utterly ridiculous. And everybody just whipping everybody else into a frenzy over this. When, no offense, there's nothing to whip a frenzy over except that we need to do something about the gun violence we deal with. Other than that, your words mean nothing.
And I think that that is oftentimes a common misconception that the right has about the act, like the active, actually caring left. Um, and just for the, I'm not a Democrat, obviously.
He means the true left, a leftist, a
Yeah,
progressive.
yeah. We're not actively trying to take, like, from ideology wise, not trying to take people's guns away. It's a level of regulation, period, point blank. Because two things are for sure. Number one, police don't do shit. They respond after the fact. Police do not prevent crime at all. I've said it before, I'll say it again. There have been literal studies done on what happens when an influx of police presence in an area. It's not that crime goes down because they're preventing it, it's because they criminalize everyone. Stop and frisk inherently happens. Look up shit like the Stanford prison experiment, to where when it comes to absolute power, it corrupts absolutely. And number two, good guys with guns don't stop bad guys with guns in situations. They don't. There's a level of situational awareness that the vast majority of Americans absolutely lack. Period. So like unless you like train that muscle, were military, raised by someone who was military, taught those skills, a lot of people aren't actively walking into somewhere looking for exits and mentally timing how long it'll take them to get to an exit, or not sitting with their back to the door if they have a shit like that. Like people aren't doing that. So again, the good guy with the gun is going to be more so reactive after the fact to the threat, which more times than not, the bad guy with the gun will have the drop on the room. If we're talking about living in a country where automatic weapons are easily attainable, open carry varies from state to state, which means, yeah, you can see the gun on his hip, but do you see the retractable submachine gun under his shirt behind his back? No, you don't. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's the illusion of power that consistently tricks that specific party. I said this earlier on Twitter. I thought about deleting it, but no, I'm going to memorialize it here for you. Y'all are the party of pedophiles, pedophile defenders, rapists, racists, biblically illiterate, closeted gay, lion scamming, Botox stuff, undercover cucks, and most recently bullet stuffed idiots. You are the laughing stock and embarrassment on a world stage. I feel like that because I see history and I've been paying attention long enough to see what's going on. Y'all don't give a fuck about no kids getting shot. Y'all don't care about kids getting abused or trafficked. Y'all don't care. Y'all claim to care about the Bible. One of the tenets in the Bible that Jesus was talking about was feed the hungry, clothe the naked, blah blah blah. Treat the
Take care of the
foreigner,
poor.
yeah, treat the foreigner as your brother, blah blah blah. Y'all hate immigration unless they're rich white people or white passing people that can come into the country. You see what I'm saying? Y'all don't care about any of this shit. And you want us to believe it because you have a persecution complex of yourself. This whole Christian persecution, da 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 da. Nobody's oppressing y'all. So much so, y'all thought the death of a right-leaning propagandist, mouth-breathing piece of shit is gonna bring on the apocalypse tomorrow.
We're recording this on Monday. According to TikTok, the apocalypse is going to happen on 9/23/25. We're recording this the Monday before, just for you people that, see this after the supposed rapture happens.
With that being said, I called you biblically illiterate and meant it because not only of what I just said, but because of what I'm going to say. Because in that same Bible, it says no man knows the day, the time, or the hour of Christ's return by the way, the rapture isn't even biblical. It was added thousands of years after the Bible was actually written by a white dude who saw this woman have a fucking trance and black out and speak about what she saw and how Christ was going to return. That's what that is. What you're quoting isn't even biblical. So again, then it says no man will know the day, the time, the hour, or whatever. And the Bible didn't even speak of women in their own personhood because you were property. Period. Full stop. And they didn't recognize you so much so they didn't even allow you to preach or lead ministry or services, which means your word doesn't mean anything by your God's perspective. If you're a woman talking about the rapture happening tomorrow, don't blame me. Read your fucking book before you start talking.
Not
My
just
bad.
read it, read to understand it.
Thank you. I came back and crashed out again. I'm sorry.
Again, like I said when we were doing our pre-show meeting, this could be a short one, this could be a long one. Depends how many crash outs we have. There's a lot to crash out about. Go ahead, Dev.
So, few things. First off, I just want to go on record and say, you know what? If someone is right about, the apocalypse happening on the 23rd, good, because that means I don't have to go and work on Wednesday. Free day off. Yes.
Along with every other day.
Yep. Hey, see, there we go. I mean, I'm not seeing a downside here on that part. But jokes aside, though, I did want to kind of cite a couple of numbers here when it comes to firearms. Before that, I do want to touch on a point that Cal brought up there with the illusion of power that people have when they say, like, oh, well, if everyone's armed, then, no one's going to have to worry about it. Well, if someone with ill intent goes into a building and decides they want to shoot as many people as possible, the fact that they can potentially shoot one person before anyone can react means that they have already won. They have already done exactly what they wanted to do, and there is nothing you can do about it. You can hope that this person is stopped before they shoot anyone else, but more likely than not, they're going to be taken off guard and they're going to harm multiple people. That is their goal when they go in to do that, to harm as many people as possible. So arming everyone with a gun is not going to stop that.
Devin, real quick before you continue, everyone was armed in the Wild West, and then you still had gunslingers who were killing and knocking y'all's head the fuck off.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure the average life expectancy of people in the Wild West was maybe 20 years old. Again, y'all would have to fact check that, but it's called the Wild West for a reason.
Go play
Anyway,
Red
continue,
Dead.
Dev.
Go play Red Dead.
Go ahead.
But getting to the numbers, though. Based off of the Small Arms Survey, which was done in 2018, for the U.S., total civilian-owned firearms in the U.S. was around 393 million. The U.S. population was around 326 million. Looking at that comes out to roughly 120.5 firearms per 100 residents. So more guns than people.
And that's only the small arms report, right?
Yes, that's just the small arms report. So that comes out to about, for anyone who doesn't know math, because I know some people, you need to go to Skillshare real quick, learn how to count as well as learn how to read.
There's some fractions and some decimals while you're at it.
But generally about 2.2 guns per person on average, which is, of course, the highest civilian firearm ownership rate in the world. The next highest country is Yemen, with an estimated 52 guns per 100 residents. So less than half of the U.S. rate. That said, with those numbers, that doesn't mean that everyone in the U.S. owns a gun. It's really concentrated. So about 30 to 32% of the U.S. Or U.S. adults personally own a firearm, and about 42% live in a household with one. And then moving on from there, because I did want to check in on Sweden really quick. The estimated amount is around. Because I was thinking the same thing.
I was saying, I just remember one of the Nordic countries being a gun-loving country, just like the Americas. I don't remember the exact numbers. Go ahead.
Right. They do have to be up there when it comes to loving
Sweden.
their guns. Yes.
Okay. Cool.
But they have about 23 firearms per 100 people. With that,
a little over a fifth per person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Closer to a quarter.
Yeah.
Um, but yes, let's see. Last one, top 10 countries with by guns per capita. Would be the U.S. with 120.5 per 100. Yemen with 52.8. New Caledonia with 42.5. Serbia and Montenegro are tied at 39.1. Canada with 34.7. Uruguay also tied 34.7. Then we have Cyprus, Finland, and Lebanon with 34, 32.4, and 31.9.
Interesting.
So, but I do want to point out that the US on its own still has actually almost more than the next three countries combined per 100 people. That is just doing quick math really quick.
Quick math. And this, while he's double checking those numbers, this is the point. We have a. It's not even about the object itself. It's the culture we have here. We, to quote Syndrome from The Incredibles, when everyone is super, no one is. And we live in this society where if everyone's got guns, might as well no one have them. Like, that is literally what the conundrum we're dealing with in here. Like Depp has repeatedly said, it doesn't matter because the moment someone wants to crash out and take out a bunch of people, they just walk in and they do it first. And even if they supposedly get taken down by a good guy by a gun, the casualty is what on average 5 to 1, maybe
Mm-hmm.
if we're lucky. This isn't problematic to you all at this point,
And
and
he brought up the small guns numbers, not the large gun numbers. And then we
or
all
ghost guns. I was
Mm-hmm.
just about to get to that.
or
Right.
ghost guns, and we have to factor in the fact that people are actively 3D printing guns. There's nothing there. There's nothing to show, like, unless you want to hack into a nigga's, what is this, a Canon printer or whatever the case. Like, there's nothing there, literally. Like this is yeah. I'm gonna stop.
Yeah,
Shot again.
to give Cal a moment to calm down a little bit before we crash out
Oh,
real
oh,
quick. Oh
one
no,
one
go
quick
ahead, go
thing.
ahead, go ahead.
I do want to go and say, hey, remember when we used to go to the movies and or rent a movie and it would go and say like, oh, hey, you shouldn't, copy movies and everything. You wouldn't copy a car, would you? But now we're living in a time where you can copy guns.
Yeah, and this actually brings me to the next part of our segment here to kind of continue the conversation. We have more information on the shooter than initially had, which is also why we at the Just No BS podcast don't give y'all no BS, which is why we decided to wait to talk about this. Even if we had recorded last week for non-family reasons, we had family issues and other stuff, which is why we didn't record. But if we were able to, we wouldn't have talked about it then either, because at the end of the day, we want to have more of the facts. What we do know so far is that this kid is a kid from Utah. Guess what? He's white, to Cal's point, and he lived in a Republican coded culture of his family. His father was a law enforcement officer and a minister of all things. They had guns in the house. He learned how to use guns from a young age. The pictures have been found online off rip within like a week. The internet FBI sleuths figured it out. They found it. All we know, we don't have 100% of his ideology. They're still trying to piece that all out, and I guess they have to interview the kid. And the only reason this kid was even caught to begin with is because his family turned him in. If this kid had the wherewithal to not say a dang thing and go about his day, who knows if we would have caught him? Who knows?
My thing is, I highly doubt that they would have caught him because of the history, number one, the political climate, number two, and just the sheer numbers when it comes to like demographics and racial breakdowns of the state. Utah, if you don't know, is one of the hotbed locations for FBI and CIA agents because there's not much to do in Utah but to be extremely religious and extremely about nationalism. And if you can easily be indoctrinated into a cult, because again, Mormonism, mm, Jehovah Witness, sects of Christianity, those are cults. and they say God and then country and then family. That's why they go to Utah so much for recruitment. So again, you would have to like Gestapo the state of Utah to find this person. You know what I'm saying? Because again, you're on a university, let alone thousands of people attend university, period. And then you would have to look at the influx of attendance due to this individual coming to speak as well. You'd have to cross reference that with flight records, track down everybody. You see what I'm saying? You would be doing this for months before you got a substantial lead if he just shut the fuck up. But he couldn't.
So, real quick, do you want to know, according to couple various statistics
Go ahead.
and the first off, by the 2020 census, so the last recent census, guess the total population of people of Utah.
The total population of people
Yeah.
of Utah.
Just people that live in Utah based on the 2020 census.
8 million. I'm not giving them.
You overshot.
say-
It's about 3 million.
Okay.
Yeah. According to the 2020 census. So roughly 3 million people, I think it's 3.2 million people. So yeah, 3 million people live in the state of Utah. Guess on average the percentage of white people that live in Utah.
96.
Roughly 88%, 87%. So might as well be 90. Now, as we mentioned earlier, one of the very first things that happened after this event happened, several HBCUs across the nation. So we're not even one. Utah's definitely don't got an HBCU. Let's not even go there. But so in other states, guess how many HBCUs were targeted? It's a trick question. The answer is might as well have been all of them. They were all given some kind of bomb or threat that was sent to the school barely 24 hours after this happened, right? Guess the black population of people that live in Utah. Here, I'm gonna give y'all a hit for people listening. It's under 10%. What do y'all think?
6.
3.
So, again, I have to double check this, but if Wikipedia is pulling the last census, the percentage of people that live in Utah that are African American is less than 2%. So that means in a population of 3 million people, and I'm going to do some quick math since I know some of y'all can't do it. That means 600,000 people on average are black.
So, Devin, technically, we're tied in the Price is White. Would you like to go to the third round?
So,
Just ask.
real quick funny fact, the second largest population on average in Utah are Hispanic people at roughly 13%. So they maybe got like, I don't know, 800, maybe close to 1 million of people in there. Maybe. In the state of Utah. And the first places that were targeted outside of these people that like to call themselves reporters, but they're really just propagandists trying to blame it on a minority group or trans or whatever. What we're talking about here is ridiculousness on a whole nother scale. And then to find out that the shooter was just your stereotypical Republican white boy.
And I know, me personally, this is process of elimination. And oh, by the way, for you niggas that can't read or do math, what I'm about to do is critical thinking. Let me show you. So we know that it's overwhelmingly white there, right? They don't have any HBCUs there. There's not a lot of black people there. In their brain, ICE is going to take care of the Hispanics. So they're like, sooner or later, like that problem will get rooted out. We have to target essentially like institutions of higher learning, like which doesn't make sense anyway, because if you're looking for someone who could hit a target from that range, a student in college is not going to be able to dedicate the hours to train like that to be able to do that unless
Not
they
your average one.
Yeah, unless you go
Mm.
to class and then go to the gun range. You see what I'm saying? Like, so no. Anytime when I think about and hear about like, because I watch murder documentaries and all this other stuff. When I hear about like mass shooters and things like that, my immediate thing is, oh, this person lives at home, like with their parents, because it's a level of dedication of planning that you have to do to go into it. Again, anecdotal evidence. When you look at something like Ocean's 11, what do these people do when they're not doing heist? And then look at what they're doing when they do the heist. They are locked in. And they're not even killing anybody while doing the heist. You see what I'm saying? Like, as soon as you get to like, oh, we're shooting somebody from XYZ back, like that's why snipers have spotters. You have to take into account like the rotation of the earth, the wind, what you're shooting with, what you're shooting at. Is it a moving target? Is it a stationary target? Like, as soon as you do that, and it's just some, like I said earlier, some weird Discord mod white boy from Utah, it's like, no, 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 no. This motherfucker trained. Like, this isn't.
And and to add on
Mm.
to that point, they found his photos. They scraped Facebook and other social media and found that this kid had been basically around slash trained slash used guns basically since that kid was able to hold them. Like, and I'm not gonna say unfortunately, that's the wrong word, but and it's very highly unlikely that at least as a black person we gonna grow up that way. It don't happen
Unless you're in the
now.
country. Unless you're a
Now,
country.
country black people might, just because of the fact it's a country, they might have like a shotgun. Some, like people that live in Georgia, they like to have, they rights to have guns. But even then, it is highly unlikely that the culture is the same.
Mm. Not to that level. Anyway.
Yeah. And to my overall point is that this is kind of why I bring out the numbers, because it's a matter of, you can have your theories, you can have your conspiracy theories about anything, but there has to be a point where critical thinking comes above that. The first thing I thought of when I heard the news was like, once, because one of the first things we heard about was the distance. I'm like, okay, are y'all looking at military or someone who's trained? Because that's 200 yards.
And
That's a
then,
high powered. That is either a high powered bullet or that is the world's best marksman. That is John Wick up there. Like, there is no way
and it
that this
wasn't
is our
multiple
average Joe
shots.
Blow.
It wasn't multiple shots like the dude who went at Cheeto. Again, I've said it before. His own quotes are gonna always hunt him. It's like Drake as well. Like bigots always do this. Idiots always do this. So where their quotes are narratives about themselves. When he said, they're not sending their best. They're not sending their best. That's what we said about the guy who attempted to take Cheeto out. But then when I heard what happened to old boy in Utah, I'm like, oh, they're sending their best now. They're sending their best. Because damn, 200 yards? I remember they used to try and hit presidents from up close back in the day, outside of JFK. They used to try and get into the little hand slapping line.
I don't even think JFK, it was a different time. I don't even think JFK was that far either. He had time to roll up and fire several shots.
Yeah, that's true.
That's why the prison has specific protocols now, because he was in an open car rolling down the street and the guy was able to get through multiple levels of security. But to kind of continuing the conversation down this line here, the reason I dropped all those numbers and statistics is because it comes back to, one, the types of crime, and then two, it's about the conversation. So first off, where's all the smoke for alt-right extremist shooters now? Y'all spent this whole week talking about, you know, this is attack from the left, this, that, and the third, the radical left, blah, 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 blah. Suddenly it's a white boy who's Republican coded from Utah who grew up knowing how to shoot guns. Where's all that smoke for gun violence now? Because it was never about that. The real story is that they wanted an excuse to continue pushing this authoritarian rule that we're kind of leaning into right now as in America. They just want an excuse to give Trump more power to do whatever BS he wants, and for people just to swallow it and not fight back.
And you would think that people would have learned from history to where it was a situation as to where like when you give up some of your rights for protection, you are paving the way for a fascist or i.e. Authoritarian state, because we
Someone,
did it with the Freedom of Information Act with Bush and everything else like that, because people were so triggered, i.e. white people were so triggered because
scared.
they saw their family members dying on the world stage. Have y'all talked to black people who lost family members during 9/11? Have you had conversations and dialogues with those individuals or anybody from any other race? Have you had conversations with the individuals from the Middle East who were living in New York for decades, running the local businesses, and how they were terrorized after the 9/11 attacks, even though they weren't even from the area where the individuals came from? Because y'all swore up and down it was Iraq and Iran. It was a lot of Saudi Arabian people, but we didn't want to beef with Saudi Arabia because they had the oil. Did you talk to anybody but white people? Because last time I checked, when we look at the white people from over there having those conversations, that's more so what it was for them. It was traumatic seeing the opportunity in the future being stripped away from them in a way that they couldn't control it. So much so, you had a comedian who was on the TV show on FX called The League. He lied about losing a family member at 9/11. His comedy career got derailed because of it, because he was primarily doing stand-up shit in New York. You had a white woman who had the audacity to lie about being in a long-term relationship with a firefighter who died at 9/11. In that case, like, look at your representation. Look at this shit. As opposed to us as black people, we're supposed to just get over and just shrug off murder by a heavily policed state from the individuals that are swore to serve and protect us and things like that. We're just supposed to just get over that. Oh, just get over slavery. That was a long time ago. But the Holocaust, you can't make jokes about that, because see, this is where I be getting mad and crashing out. It's an active level of cognitive dissonance from individuals who want us to take them seriously when they don't take anybody else seriously but themselves. This man literally had a memorial, the likes of which you would see from like a celebrity or a strong philanthropist who had decades of experience giving back to people in need and blah blah blah. And his Nazi wife walked out to fucking fireworks like she was Batista at the World Wrestling Federation. And then the president of the free world hugging her like the
Not
weird
so free.
"Where's my hug" ass nigga, smiling at the camera as he's groping her like, yeah, yeah. What the fuck is this? What the fuck are we looking at here? Are y'all okay? Have y'all not like no?
No, they are not. It is the world's biggest cult, just giving up everything that we're supposed to stand on to authoritarianism. Because we've seen this happen. This is basically almost 1-to-1 the playbook of what happened when Putin took power in Russia. First thing he did was started silencing newspapers, throwing around propaganda left and right, using anything he can to martyr everything into the Kremlin. And then now this man has been the president for like over a decade plus. That man's not a president. He's a dictator. It is what it is. Like, and now he's giving the same level of advice to Trump, and Trump is doing almost the same exact thing. He's taking control of the courts. He's trying to take control of the court system through the Supreme Court. Heck, now he's trying to silence people like Jimmy Kimmel. He's getting his show back. To all you weirdos that thought he should have lost his show for saying nothing.
But you're not going to see it because it's happening on the Rapture. By the way, Jason, give me a second. Give me 1 second. Hey, I just want to let you know, everybody who's participating in this Rapture bullshit narrative, I've been silently creating a list of y'all. If you have posted on TikTok or Instagram or any type of video capability service that we have, when I pop up on your bitch ass on Wednesday asking why are you and Trump still here, I want you to see the end boil. And if you really thought the rapture was happening, don't sell shit. Give away your house, bitch. Quit your job. Pull your kids out of school. Give away your car. Go full commit. Y'all are halfway doing this shit. Let's put some stake in the game. That's all I want.
They're not going to. It's a cult. The whole Christian nationalism, people that don't read their supposed Bibles or even understand it, it's all cultism. But you've been quiet, Dev. Go ahead. I'm gonna let you cook.
So first off, I want to go and say for any of those people who are actually willing to go and give up that stuff, we here on the Just No BS podcast are willing to go and take those burdens on for you. Please send them our way, and we'll take care of them for you. Uh, but kind of sorry, just had
We
you.
need some levity here. Good one, Dev. That was a good one. We need some levity.
Kind of getting back to the swing of things here. When it comes to your point about giving up freedoms for safety, uh, it reminds me of like three different books that I read back in like middle school at this point. 1984, Animal Farm, and Brave New Worlds. All three of them all talk about, giving up different freedoms for different reasons.
Hey, don't forget Fahrenheit too.
True, which a lot of people haven't read just because, hey, that was banned for quite some time anyway. But I'm just going with the ones that I definitely know were in libraries and actually assigned reading, for a while there.
Back when
So
we
I'm trying to give you
valued
the
education.
easy, exact. True. But just as a quick recap for any of the people who haven't read any of those, 1984 really focused on giving up freedom for safety. People, basically accepted surveillance, censorship, and loss of personal liberties, so that way they felt like they were protected by Big Brother. And that's where the whole Big Brother term kind of came from anyway. Animal Farm. So it was less about, giving up freedoms, but more of how revolutions can betray people's ideals and evolve into authoritarianism, which, if you kind of look at what Trump was running on with his first campaign, which was, draining the swamp and basically being a revolution, we are seeing how that turns into manipulation, power consolidation, which we're seeing in this second term. Brave New Worlds. People surrendered freedoms not because they feared anything or needed protection, but for comfort and pleasure and things of that nature. Which we kind of see that with the people who are like, oh, hey, Trump is going to get us our jobs and, we're going to have all this money and everything's going to be great. And they basically sold everything off just to go and get that idea that everything's going to be okay in the future. We're seeing all three of these at the same time.
And
Normally, most people.
TLDR. No. TLDR, which ironically basically means too long didn't read. Here's the end point. It's not going to happen for you, bro.
Yeah. It doesn't end well in any of those stories.
You're not going to get rich. Guess what? All that money's just pulling at the top. In this society, the top 1% controls like 80% of our wealth. You're not getting that money. It's not happening. He lied to you. He lied to you. Like, literally. Yes. Like, that's not happening. You're not going to get the pleasures because you're going to be broke. And some of them jobs, I'm sorry, they're not coming back. They never were. We crashed out on our last episode about AI. AI and automation is already taking away most of those jobs to begin with. You're not getting that Kush factory job. What y'all should have been doing was making sure that the people of our country were protected through these new innovations. And I can go on my long crash out about why we should have had UBI by now. But regardless, they tricked you. It was a lie. It was all a lie. And with that, I'm going to transition us to the partial irony of this whole situation. First off, as we were talking about, most of these types of crimes tend to come from the alt-right, right wing of this country. The data studies are all there. Except the fact of the matter is, the irony is, as Devin was mentioning, they've already started censoring all the books that you could read to find out more of this type of stuff, and all the data that the White House and previous administrations throughout the last, 15, 20 years, our lifespans, all that data, they are trying to actively erase it from the internet. Actively. The White
They're
House has
also
pulled most of this
telling
data already.
they're also telling departments in the government that they're no longer allowed to report certain things. They have been they fired the guy who came back, whose main job was like reporting job numbers and everything else like that.
It was a woman at first.
Oh, it was a woman. Okay, so it was a woman at first.
They fired her put in a new person, and even those job numbers they couldn't lie about because it's just that bad.
Yeah,
Unemployment is at the lowest since the pandemic,
yeah,
where there was an excuse.
yeah. There's literally more people looking for jobs than there are jobs available currently. And the irony of this is Charlie Kirk thought that he would be next up to be the grifter propagandist to like get elevated into some type of political position, therefore like solidifying his legacy. And the shooter said, I shoot next up. So this is what we have to contend with. This is a level of irony outside of our hands. And by our hands, I mean black people, I mean minorities in general in the country. Y'all are doing this because this is the whole paradigm of the snake eating itself. In,
Ouroboros.
in light of your hateful rhetoric, your hateful ideology, the only thing that has to happen for this stuff to continue is for you to keep pushing it. And you have to keep pushing it. Because the only difference between this person and a decorated sniper is missed opportunities and failed expectations.
Not even missed opportunities. If the information was correct, he could have enlisted. Literally, the only difference is the fact that he wasn't enlisted. That is literally the only difference.
No, I'm saying he missed the opportunity. I'm not saying the opportunity missed him. He just was like, and was like, I'm gonna just be a fucking bum. I'm gonna just be a fucking bum. He missed that opportunity to go in there because obviously, as you get older, it's hard to go through that.
No, that is my point. According to the information we have, he was in his early 20s, and I think he was a college student. So fundamentally, he didn't miss the opportunity. He just didn't pick it.
Oh, I thought he dropped out. My fault. Maybe it was Kirk that dropped out.
Again, according to the information we have, heck, everyone who likes Charlie Kirk for all of his stuff, he's not even.
He's not a graduate. He's not a graduate
of anything.
No. And again, degrees do not denote intelligence. We're not doing that.
Facts.
Just like the ability to speak does not make you intelligent. Shout out to Qui-Gon Jinn, Star Wars Episode 1. You know what I'm saying? Whoop-de-whoop right before they dived in the water. You know, Shan, I'm a nerd. I know my shit. But with that being said, this is what y'all have to contend with. You created your own adversary. That's the funny part about all of this. And that's the irony of all of this. Also, another part of the irony, before Dev, you get to cook, because I know you're going to cook in this segment. The other part of this irony is the right does not understand what words mean. So,
hold on. I have to cut you off here. I think they perfectly understand what they mean, and they just lie to trick people to thinking they know what the words mean. It's more insidious. They know what the words actually mean. They just trick the people they talk to into thinking the words mean something else. Go ahead.
What I was going to say is because they value conservative women. That's the talking point, right? A woman who's in the house, cooks, cleans, barefoot, pregnant, shuts the fuck up when the guy comes home, blase blah, submissive, all those other fun words that you hear from like pickup artists. Whistles. Yeah, like manosphere, all those dog whistles and everything that go along with it. They named Kirk's wife the CEO of Turning Point.
She took USA. Over. Yeah,
right. And they're like, "Oh, the left isn't ready for a conservative woman talking." That snake eats itself because an oxymoron. Woman does not talk.
Forget no. Take it a step further. A conservative woman doesn't have a job. She's the CEO. Is that not a job?
She doesn't have a job. I think she has 3 degrees.
She went to school? She didn't just immediately get married when she turned 18?
No.
That's not conservative.
And this is what I'm saying. It's like, y'all don't understand. Jake, so I hear what you're saying, but I'm like, no. That's a smart person plan. What you're saying is a smart person like, oh, we're going to, like what Dev said, like Orwellian. That's very Orwellian. We're going to play down, educate, da-da-da-da. No. These niggas is stupid. They like to misapply labels when it suits them because they think that it works in their favor when actually you doing that steps on your own progress because it's like, no, that was a woman who did that shit and got it how she got it. Mind you, is she a Nazi sympathizer? Yes. Was she fully in support of this nigga misappropriating numbers and reports and everything else like that to push a racist weirdo
Agenda.
narrative? Absolutely. Was she very strongly in support of the right, essentially stripping away rights from women who look just like her, who are in positions similar to her? Absolutely. But y'all saying that her getting this position is the end of feminism shows that you don't know what fucking words mean.
This. Let me reiterate my point in a different way. Within the right, it's then split by classism. The ones that have the power at the top fundamentally trick the ones at the bottom, basically the ones that don't have the education.
Or
It is
the
what it is.
yeah.
They know what the stuff actually means at the top, but then they lie to the people below them so that they can all push the same thing and twist everything. Because at the end of the day, the ones at the top know what the heck they're doing. They know that a conservative woman is supposed to just stay home, get knocked up every other year, have 50, 11 kids, stay at home, cook, clean, while a man, quote unquote, does all the work. That's what they mean. They want to go back to the 1950s BS before, even further back, before women had jobs whatsoever, before women could get credit, anything. But the fact that she is literally the CEO, now she's the CEO, completely fundamentally breaks your whole argument. Oh, and now she's a single mother too. Conservative women aren't supposed to be single mothers, so this lady's gonna have to get married within like a year to uphold this nonsense.
By the
Get
way,
out of here!
she's a
Y'all are liars.
she's a DEI hire. Let's be honest about that. And then number two, her first acting situation as a DEI hire, a guy was able to buy the trademark branding rights and merchandising rights to Turning Point USA because he just had the money and he wanted to be petty. So women aren't good at jobs. Isn't that what y'all say, conservatives? So she's a DEI hire. She lost the merchandising rights within 24 fucking hours. And you can't get them back. And she's only there because her husband's there. Like, okay, so the white in DEI is silent, obviously. So okay, cool. So she's failing the company already. Let's see what more she has for us. Check in on the next episode of Cracker Ball Z. That's what we'll look at.
Not Ball Z. I can't. I don't. I don't got words for that one. Devin, go ahead. Go. Before we get another ridiculous quote, go ahead, Devin.
Cal, you can't drop those just before it's my turn to talk.
My bad. I'm sorry.
You gotta have a warning beforehand, something like I gotta be mentally prepared for
I
it.
said, let me say this. I mean, you're going.
Oh,
My bad.
so kind of going back for a second there, because it was said there that most, if not all, of these kind of violent political crimes are come from the far right here in the U.S. And I know there are going to be some people out there who are like, no, it's the other side too a lot. If not, they probably do
Hit
it
him with the
more.
facts.
I actually have numbers because you know me. I come with the facts. And
Hit
not
him
just
with
from
it.
one source. I'm going to give you multiple sources here. So, first off, generally speaking, right-wing extremism, it has historically accounted for most deadly extremist violence in the U.S. If we want to go with the ADL report, that from 2010 to 2022, an overwhelming majority of extremist-related murders were linked to right-wing actors. So white supremacists, anti-government militias, and so on and so forth. I can give you the exact numbers. When it comes to that, 75% of extremist-related murders, so 323 out of the 429, were by right-wing extremists. The remainder, the 25%, were others, either left-wing, Islamist, jihadism, things of that nature. There, so two different groups and everything comprise the other 25% there. Let's see if we want to go with the NIJ report. Since 1990, 227 ideologically motivated homicides and events resulted in over 520 deaths. Compared to the far left and radical liberalism, 42 ideologically motivated attacks, 78 deaths. When we're looking at the numbers, generally speaking, it causes the most amount of deaths and everything per event. Coming from the right side there, from extreme right. Let me specify that because I'm not saying everyone who leans more conservative thinks the same way. I am not saying that in any way, shape, or form. But if we're looking at the extremes, if we're going by the numbers, we're seeing a bit of a pattern here. Um, Again, if we want to continue down the line here, in 2019, right-wing extremists responsible for 38 of the 42 extremist-related murders. So 90% in 2019. So if we're going with something, a little bit more recent. So overall, right-wing and far-right extremists commit far more deadly politically motivated violence, both in incidents and fatalities.
And just to add some more relevancy to this, we are in September. Back in June, that is what, 3 months ago, in June, a right wing extremist who had a hit list took out a member of the took out the Minnesotan senator and her husband in their house when they were doing nothing. They were just at home.
And
He
the
went up,
and
pretended to
the
be a fake officer, and killed them in cold blood.
and the right laughed about it, not the far right.
Yeah, yeah.
The
And
right.
they didn't try to calm anything down. This is their whole party. So, like, even if we're talking about the extremes, the the right in of themselves are becoming complicit in this nonsense, which makes you just as bad.
And that's why I say I come from the standpoint, Devin. I understand your standpoint of being impartial and things like that, but leaning right within the past decade is not the same as before that. Within the
Sure.
past decade, my brain goes, "Oh, if you lean right, you're a fucking fascist. If you're white, if you're black, you're a fucking coon. If you're Hispanic, you're a betrayer of your race and you really don't like it here. You love the Mexican heat in the summer." That's where my brain goes. If you're Indian, you sure shit don't like it here because they don't fuck with y'all at all. Look at the things that the right says about Cash Patel every day. Every day. Look at what they call this man every day. This weird old motherfucker went up there, said that he would see this mouth breathing motherfucker in Valhalla. Hey, 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 hey. You're a coked out Indian DEI hire. You think you're going to Valhalla?
Moving right along.
My bad. All I'm
But
saying is this is where it's like it gets to a point because it used to mean like if you voted right, if you're like a business owner or something, you were more so looking for tax breaks, incentives, and things like that. You like cared about the economy, blah blah
you
blah.
don't want government in your business.
Yeah,
You
Right.
don't want government in your business. You're trying to, cut on your taxes. You
yeah,
don't want us spending a lot.
which is fair. Which is fair. Wasn't mad at
Mm-hmm.
that. The narrative, the rhetoric, or whatever, are things that the black right would have had to contend with at that point. But since 2015, moving forward, the right has been like fully masked off as to where it's like, no, we're racist. Like we're literally racist. Like we're not kikiing and ha-haing with y'all. We don't like y'all here. Even though, like, geopolitically speaking, from a money standpoint, like the cities in America that don't have a lot of multiculturalism happening are very small, barren. Like they don't make a lot of money. Those red states
Don't
where
make
they
a lot of
have
money.
they don't make a lot of money. They rely on the income from the blue states. So much so, y'all literally are the niggas who are causing the plague and fucking measles to come back. And this administration has literally signed shit into active application that is shutting down hospitals in these low population areas, which means when your kid gets measles, not if, when your kid gets measles, you can't get them to a hospital. Your kid's just dead. So they're literally reverting you back to what we said, like 1925. You did this because you thought you would get like, oh, black people under control and in prisons, Mexicans deported. Y'all aren't even deporting Mexicans. exclusively are deporting Hispanic people and just sending them to countries that they've never been to. And now the white farmers are now feeling it. Now they're like, oh, this isn't what I vote for. Yes, you did. You just, again, you don't know how to read. Skillshare should pop up right here. Ground News should pop up right here. These could have helped you. But again, here you are, believing an entertainment network to be true news.
So, kind of connecting this whole irony piece of it all, this has been my main takeaway of this whole situation, which is the sheer irony, the cruel irony, whatever type of irony you want to use. Charlie Kirk died in the world he supported. He died in the world he was actively fighting for. This man said from his own mouth that if there are a certain number of deaths that need to happen in order for us to keep our rights to guns, then so be it. I mixed up the words a little bit. Those weren't the exact. That's not the exact quote. We can pull it up if we want to. I don't want to, but that's essentially what he said. And to the people that want to be like, "Oh, you didn't hear the whole clip. You didn't listen to the whole thing." Let me teach you about a little debater's trick, which is his whole career. He likes to take one thing that might seem factual, twist it, say a bunch of BS, and we don't do BS here on the Just No BS podcast, and then try to justify the BS that he gave us by twisting the initial argument. So, for example, in the very moment he died, someone was trying to debate him on the issue of gun violence. With his own mouth, he was trying to twist it to gang violence, to then twist it to black people. And right as that happened, he was shot. So in literal, not even an ironic moment, in the literal moment he was about to use the same BS to talk about gun violence, he was killed and is now a statistic of said gun violence. Mm-hmm. There was an I forget his name, but there was an MSNBC broadcaster who literally, all of this man literally said was, when you speak hateful rhetoric and bring hate to the world, you create the very situations that these things happen in. And that man lost his job and got fired. What are we doing? The right, keep talking about how you are a Christian. Well, if you knew anything about Christ, you know that all this man does is speak peace, love, and kindness to the world. That is his whole literal mantra, and you guys are doing the exact opposite of that. You should be ashamed. Literally, if you did any kind of study of the Bible, you would know that to be Christian literally translates to be like Christ. That is what it means. Which means you should feed the hungry, take care of the poor, heal the sick. And literally the very thing you voted for is making poor people poorer, removing healthcare from more and more people, and not taking care of your neighbors, allowing this to continue. You are not Christians. You are the Antichrist.
Treat the foreigners as one of your own. That's also there. Y'all hate immigrants as well. Let's be honest there. Which again, very, 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 very unserious bunch. Claims to hate Hispanic people, Mexicans in particular, because that's easier. They just recently learned this year that Puerto Rico is a part of the United States, so they've been trying to change that shit a little bit. But why the fuck are you going to the local Mexican spots?
Y'all should not be allowed to eat a taco. Y'all should not be allowed to have. And for any immigrant that you hate, you should not be allowed to eat their food or have any of their seasonings. Straight up, no paprika, nothing. Go back to eating your bland chicken.
I strip you of the seasonings. I strip you of the flavors.
I'm just saying, bro. But no, this was a main point that we really wanted to kind of crystallize in this whole conversation, which is the story of it all. And Devin's really going to take over this section because he made this point in our pre-show meeting earlier. But the irony of everything is that these people are literally speaking to existence the type of society they want, and they're becoming victims of that said society. I'm sorry. We're going to talk about this, but Charlie Kirk was a man full of hate, violence, and ignorance. That is the man he was. But yet, people will see two completely different versions of him based on basically the BS algorithms and, closet chambers we live in now.
Mm-hmm.
So take it away, Devin. But like, this is what we live in. Take it away, please, before I
Yes.
crash out again. I'm gonna need a second.
So, just going off of that jumping point right there, yes, people are experiencing two completely different versions of Charlie Kirk. There are some people who, because of their algorithms and so on and so forth, only see his videos and posts where he's perfectly reasonable and is a fine example of like a Christian motivational speaker. That's all they've ever seen of him. So of course they're going to feel a certain type of way when they hear everyone bashing him. Of course they're going to feel a certain type of pain or anything from seeing someone that, they kind of look up to, suddenly being shot and killed. You know, there's no taking away that pain there. I completely understand where you're coming from. However, on the flip side, you have to understand that other people see his videos where his racism, misogyny, and homophobia are front and center. That is the main thing that they see. And that even if they do happen to see some videos where he is making really good points and really focusing on the kind of Christian side of things, that doesn't excuse some of the things that he has said. And right now we're living in a time where there are some people who are finally kind of crossing the lines, there and saying, hey, well, look at what we see here. Well, look at what we see here to finally get the full picture. And it's blowing people's minds right now. So the question that I have to bring up to everyone, to our viewers, as well as to my other hosts here as well, which one is the real Charlie Kirk? And also by proxy, we can kind of look at the Republican Party or just being
The
more
right.
conservative, or the right in general. What is the real version of that? You know?
So, at least for me, the real version is, I guess, the former. I'm sorry, but you. I heard someone say this. I forget what podcast or thing I was listening to, but I heard someone's. No, it was. I don't be on Twitter, but I saw someone's reply to a Twitter post on this. Someone said that being a national Christian here in the US now is basically akin to being black in slavery time or Jim Crow era, meaning that the one drop Christian rule applies instead of the one drop black rule. These people, what are you doing, Cal?
That's basically all night.
No, listen. I'm not saying he wasn't saying it in the sense that they have the same disadvantages, issues, whatever. What he was saying is that the rule applies that how they used to hit us with the one drop black rule. If you're one drop, you are black, and therefore you're subject to all this terrible shit. In return, there's now saying being Christian means if you even claim you're Christian, a la Trump, that man ain't Christian. But if you say, hey, I'm Christian, here's the Bible, you are now hit with the one drop Christian rule, and now all the Republicans will gather around you and give you this glorious belief that you are what you say you are, and it's become this whole national wave. That is Charlie Kirk. This man is a grifter, a liar, a scammer, and all he does is uses quote unquote reasonability to spread misogyny, misogynoir, racism, hate speech, sexism, ism. That's what this man does. He just uses lies covered up in pretty sounding words to try to do it. And anytime he is properly checked, he can never defend himself. Oh, he never could defend himself because obviously he ain't defending himself now. But
Who did that? My bad. Go ahead.
but yeah, no. This is what this man is. And if you actually listen to any of his debates, and this is where the real insidiousness of this whole thing is. I call it the reverse nice sandwich, but what it really is how normally when you try to be nice to someone when you tell them bad news, you start off with trying to say something nice, you pepper in the bad stuff, and you end off with some nice stuff. He kind of flips it, but not just flips it, he almost keeps the levels the same, but actually does the opposite. He'll say something terrible in a nice way, try to make it sound nice, end off with the terribleness. So all you remember is the terribleness and think he's right because it sounds bad. And this is fundamentally how black people have been treated in this country. They'll say some nonsense about how and these are his own words. He'll say that black women do not have the processing power to do jobs, and he'll take because he said this about Oprah, Michelle Obama, and then he'll try to twist it into saying that, oh yeah, they were DEI hires, so they don't have they were DEI not hires, but they were brought into their schools. They were man, I can't remember the word, but basically they got into their to their colleges because because of DEI. But if there was no DEI, they would not have the processing power to make it there. When that is fundamentally what DEI is there to stop. It's to stop white people from taking their positions of whiteness to let their son, their third son, who basically had a D minus, who barely graduated high school, from getting into a spot in Harvard.
So my combat to that would be twofold. Number one, the biggest beneficiaries of DEI, this is not me projecting. Do your
Okay,
fucking research if you
it's
disagree
white
with
women.
me. Is white women. Number two, when you look across the board at the people that he criticized, look at the institutions of higher learning that they went to versus the one that he dropped out of. Because they finished. Again, like I said, a degree does not denote intelligence. Absolutely not. Being able to constantly change and adapt to new information, update your worldview, and matriculate through the society without being a hateful, a hateful underbelly of society type motherfucker. Like that's what that is. Mind you, there are things that I fundamentally disagree with Oprah on. I feel like she is extremely problematic in a nuanced way. If you've done any shred of evidence, like evidentiary research on, um, I have not a bad thing to say about Michelle Obama. She did not ask for her husband to be president. You see what I'm saying? She was playing her role, holding it down. This is a distinguished black woman who was at the time extremely distinguished when it came to how she cared about children's health in the country while her husband was president. But y'all forgot about that and you hated it then because your fat belly triple chinned ass kids were eating Pringles every fucking day instead of drinking water. So when she asked y'all to have them exercise for 30 minutes, you took it as a personal attack because you can't even fuck your wife for 30 minutes. So yes, I understand why you're mad. But now that Trump is trying to reintroduce it after it got called back down because again, it was ableist. My grandmother had multiple sclerosis for the better part of her life, but she took her physical and her mental and spiritual health seriously. Even when she could not lift weights anymore, she was lifting canned food, exercising throughout the day. You see what I'm saying? Like that's the barrier of entry that it is. So with that being said, we have to, not we, because I don't give a fuck. And white people have to prove to me that they're not racist before I even fully engage with them. Like that's me. My shit is shut off for y'all. I have no sympathy or empathy for any of y'all, especially y'all white farmers who thought that black people were going to work on y'all farms in light of the Trump administration. And then he's raising up the prices fucking all over, cutting benefits that go to y'all, and y'all are scared to lose your farms. And oh my God, he's supporting the Mexicans. And what am I going to do? I don't have a middle school education and I'm losing my farm. I don't give a fuck. This is how big business works. It undercuts everyone that it possibly can and then goes in, buys up the real estate, and parks up the marketplace. But you wanted this country to be run like a business. But you didn't take a basic business 101 course, you stupid bitch. You thought that your grandma selling pussy during the prohibition was a good business model. She got slutted out just like
Not
you.
even moonshine. We went straight. You could have said moonshine, bro. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
That moon white ass was shining in the light.
I was just saying, like, they were
Like,
shining something right there.
bro. Something was getting shined.
But
Like a
no,
lot.
this is
My bad. Go ahead. Go
no, no,
ahead.
no. You're fundamentally right, and this is the insidiousness. What is? I will start this off with what is the number one purpose of higher education, a la college and or trade school, any form of higher education? What is usually the number one purpose? And this is what Harvard, Cornell, all of these major Ivy League schools, this is what they were founded on. What's the number one purpose?
To
It goes
learning
back to
more.
the Romans. What's the number one purpose?
I would guess that it would be to learn more about your specified interests to go into the industry that you choose to work in, no?
The
No,
advancement of
that is what
society.
we've twisted it into. The
Oh,
number one purpose is to have your thoughts, your ideas, your politics, your philosophy challenged. The purpose of higher education was to challenge yourself mentally and as a person. And for the most part, college still, even though we've twisted it, we make it about getting better jobs, it still fundamentally does that. So, what's the insidious part of what they've done, a la Charlie Kirk? They have a guy who goes there under the guise of challenging people when all he's really doing is spreading hate. He's spreading hate, he's spreading misinformation, he's spreading division. That is what he's done. He's twisted what the whole purpose, which is why he would go to colleges and not Ivy League colleges, and he would allow, and that's why the whole setup is. This is the Jubilee effect. It's the quote unquote having discussions when really all you're doing is promoting hate
yeah.
and lies.
Because the antithesis of that is being empathetic and being well researched, and those two things go hand in hand with college. I appreciate your description about the initial joint of college, because that puts it into a lot more context as to where when there were individuals going down to these Cheeto rallies when he was trying to get reelected, and they were talking to a couple of people, like a couple of people wearing the Manga paraphernalia, and they talked to one person. And they were like, "Yeah, like I just don't get it. All of my friends that I knew growing up that went to college, they're like voting for Biden. Da da da. Da. Like this doesn't make sense. Like you would almost think like college brainwashes them, and the dude was like, okay, so you understand that like college is a like higher level educational system as to where you are around people that you're typically not around, other races, other cultures, and everything else like that. You're doing more research. And he was like, yeah, like that brainwashes them. This is as stupid. His statement is as stupid as the people who are like, if there are gay people in children's media, that'll turn the kids gay, because it's like, okay, then just show them straight media and that'll make them straight again. By that
By that
estimation,
logic.
yeah, but again, like this is like where we get down to like, no, 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 no. These people may be evil. Yes, they may be evil, but these are heavily stupid people that we have allowed to matriculate through society unchecked. That's where my shit comes, because when you logically test what they're saying, it doesn't make any fucking sense, and then they get mad because of how dumb it sounds when you say their idea back to them.
It's it's not even a twist of logic. It's just a matter of, again, it's not even a matter of education. It all comes down to privilege. They are privileged enough to not have to deal with other people. Like again, we talked about the breakdown of Utah. Utah is basically 90% white. When you don't deal with other people and everyone around you thinks the same exact way, and you're never challenged or questioned, or people don't call you out on nothing, you never have to think about it. So you just assume it's right. And this is essentially the kind of environment Charlie Kirk was doing. He was basically using the process of challenging and twisting it to make it seem like he's actually challenging real thought, when no, all he did was spread hate. And anytime someone checked him on it, he couldn't actually ever fight back. And this is where we're going to hit you to do your research and look up some more debate clips. Anytime he's on a higher institution, or anytime he was challenged and shown any situation where he would be like, oh, there was one where this lady checked him, where she's like, name a place that, it was something like, name a place where this type of behavior would be accepted anywhere else. And she hit him with, oh, this happens in many tribes in Africa. This happens in, such and such place, Paraguay, Uruguay, whatever. Like, she checked him, then she's like, all you don't know is other cultures. Straight, like, you fundamentally do not understand that America is not the only culture in the world. And this is the kind of American privilege that, unfortunately, white people live with. They still think they're the people that are the originators of this country. No, you are not. Y'all stole this country. It's And back to the irony, the people that came here on the Mayflower in other, ships trying to escape for religious freedom fundamentally took religious freedom from other people and then tried to kick everybody else out.
And they were the worst of Europe. I want y'all to realize that. That's not hyperbole. Go and look at the reputations of the individuals that came here. By the way, they weren't even the first people to discover America. Obviously, the people living here, blah, blah, blah. But they weren't even the first people to travel by boat to America. So,
Nope.
again, this is why they're trying to get rid of things like critical race theory, all this other fun stuff.
History.
Yeah, like you're just trying to whitewash history. And it's not even like good white history to where it's like white people actually care about their degree or care about their station in anything. No, it's white religious backed history that aligns with the ideology of the current stand. Like, do y'all not, again, you probably don't because you niggas don't read. I'm sorry, you crackers don't read. So, like, we're left to contend with a habitually uneducated, and you motherfuckers can't fight hand to hand. So you can't read, you can't fight hand to hand, you don't shoot well unless it's civilians. Like you can barely drive, you barely function in society without the means of
Oh,
technology.
I hold on. I gotta stop you there. We live in America. You know, a white person can drive because they don't know what a train system is or public
No, 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 no,
transportation.
no, no. I'm not saying 10 and 2 right foot goes on gas pedal, but it also has to go on on brake pedal. No, 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 no. I'm saying understanding the rhythm of traffic in other people. White people do
Oh no,
not
they understand it. They just don't give a fuck because
see
of privilege.
in an attempt to keep me from getting more mad, Jazo, on traffic. I like to think that y'all are just too stupid. Because if you don't care, that rises a different issue that I can't say here because we're in a public space that'll put me on a watch list. I'm going to chill in that regard. This is who we have to contend with living in this society. People who are not intuitive enough because the right, especially the religious right, y'all are terrible with making anything creative. Music, Tom
Isn't that
McDonald will
basically
play
the same
y'all.
thing at this point?
Yeah, like
It's all a cult.
it's just a fucking cult. And you want us to take you seriously like you're not in a cult. You're in a cult, bro. You're in a cult. And that might sound jarring to you because you're talking to other people in the same cults, just different sects of the same cult. But like, no, we don't take you seriously. And you white apologists who triple trumped who are trying to come back now because you see the error in your ways the third time. You're fucking stupid. I'm not gonna say the word I want to say because I love these brothers. We're building something nice here. I'm not trying to get them canceled. I don't give a fuck about getting canceled.
You're still on Twitter.
I'm still there. I've been there since 2011. You didn't cancel shit, bitch. Aha. But anyway, all I'll say is before I'm done for the night, y'all have to contend with the fact that your negligence, your evil, your insecurity financially, spiritually, mentally, and physically have all contributed to this. All of your and all of your inadequacies have birthed this generation of white people. These young, angsty white boys and girls who are out here. And as these assassinations and these assassination attempts keep ramping up because they will ramp up, the more extreme that y'all get, the more that Gen Z, Gen Alpha will meet you where you are with a bullet. In the words of Clips, let God sort them out.
And as I give Devin the last word on this, to add on to that, because these generations are going to have less because these older generations keep siphoning everything, they're going to have less to live for. So why are they going to care? You can get the last word as while we wrap this up, Devin.
So I just want to touch on the point that Cal was bringing up when it comes to people being essentially in cults. The one thing about a cult is that the only ones who aren't victims at the end of the day are the people at the very top. When we're talking about Charlie Kirk, I feel like at the end of the day, he was a victim of a cult. He basically drank the Kool-Aid, he basically, you know, believed everything that he was talking about. He didn't see it as anything wrong, which is why he was able to have those types of convictions and really feel like he was confident in everything he was saying. Was it wrong? Absolutely. But as with any cult, you can tell them that everything that they're doing is wrong. They're not going to believe it because they're basically brainwashed to believe that that is the truth and that is the way things are. And anyone who says otherwise would be the ones that are wrong. That's really all it comes down to. And I kind of pity Charlie Kirk because of that. Because he couldn't see that up until the very end. That is why he believed that, oh, hey, if we have enough gun violence here, hey, that makes it where we need guns and everything, and we need to protect everyone's right to guns and so on and so forth. He was drinking the Kool-Aid, people.
Uh, He wasn't drinking the Kool Aid. He was the sugar spoon they were mixing up the Kool Aid with, and then he dissolved into it. That's what happened.
I mean, true, true, true,
He
true.
became he became one with the Nega Force. He's not even with the regular Force. He's with the Nega Force. Like
Mhm.
he became one with it.
But
I
again, at
got
the
no
end of the
other
day,
words.
I feel bad for him because he died without ever truly understanding what damage he was causing, despite the fact that he may have felt that he was doing good.
See, you're better than me, and I know Caleb is probably worse than both of us at this point. For me, my thing is, I don't pity him. I can't because this man would not offer me the same pity if the roles were reversed. So because of that, I can't pity him. The only people in this whole situation I pity are those two kids he has that are probably gonna get brainwashed in this whole thing and probably become more radicalized because now they can, especially since the kids were right there in attendance, they become more radicalized and they have a high probability of inflicting the same violence that was inflicted to their dad. So those are the only people I pity in this whole situation. Because those are two impressionable kids, but by all means, for the most part, children are innocent, and the environment and the nature that they're born into determines their fates as adults. So those are the only people I pity because their innocence might as well have just been robbed for them. That's all I got.
Oh yeah, and you know what? I agree to that there. I only say that I also pity him because I pity anyone who did not have the opportunity to learn from their mistakes. In his case, I feel as though he didn't have the opportunity to learn because he has been totally convinced that there is no other way. The people who were basically kind of pulling the strings behind him and playing him, made it so that basically he would never be able to go and learn that. And I feel sorry for anyone who's in that type of situation. I don't forgive them for what they do, but I do feel sorry for them that they didn't have the opportunity to. And I'm not saying that I'm an enlightened being or anything of that nature, but
I am the heavenly Buddha.
I,
No.
amongst heaven and earth, I am the honored one.
Okay, Gojo.
But in all seriousness, though, like in his particular case, I would have hoped that he would have lived long enough to be able to see the error in his ways. Whether or not he announced that to anyone, or if that was something that he was able to privately talk about between him and, whoever. I would have preferred to see that than what we had happen here. That's all I want to say about it. But that's just
Cal's
me.
face.
He,
For all the audio listeners, Cal's face is all of his final words. I don't think he needs to say anything else. So I think that's pretty much covered all of our thoughts, and we can just wrap this bad boy up. Unless you want to say any final thoughts. We're almost at 2 hours. I can give you like a minute or two if you got any final thoughts y'all want to wrap up with. I've pretty much said my piece.
Number one, fuck them kids. They were going to get brainwashed anyway. He wasn't going to learn from his mistakes
true,
because
true.
historically we've seen racists not give up the fact that they were being fucking racist until their deathbed, so they had to contend with death, and then they had to think about it and retroactively go back, just like that white bitch who did what she did in the contributions to the death of Emmett Till. Fuck him. Fuck them kids. Fuck his Nazi wife. Fuck anybody who likes him. Fuck anybody who stands with this administration because you're a fascist sympathizing fucko. Fuck anybody who likes Cheeto because he's protecting the fact that he's a fucking pedophile who was right there on them planes with Jeffrey Epstein, his best fucking friend.
Release the Epstein files.
Exactly.
Let's go.
I don't give a fuck about this dead propagandist. Release them fucking files. Number two, hey Candace Owens, how does it feel to be a bedside fucking wench, you goofy ass coon? You weren't even invited.
Why are you talking about her today?
You weren't even invited to the fucking funeral, and you had behind the scenes videos with this bitch ass nigga. You weren't even invited because they treat you like a conditionary coon. That's upon a certain condition of pissing off black people, they bring you out to tap dance and do a minstrel show. You step it and fetch it ass mutt bitch. With that being said, I would like y'all to ruminate on the fact that this will not stop. Do not expect me to give sympathy for racist, dying racists. You chose to be a fucking racist. Period. We are not living in a time as to where you aren't exposed to other cultures, ethnicities, different walks of life. You were not in a homogenous society from a racial standpoint as to where you can just, oh, yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know. You did know. So when the next person drops, and I have a good inkling of who I think the next person will be if they step outside, because a lot of you weirdo niggas have canceled your tours after seeing this. I'm looking at one nigga in particular who wants to fuck his sister, but we'll wait and we'll see what happens next. Don't ask me for sympathy. You should have asked them to be more sympathetic to people who didn't look like them. Period. Appeal to their heart. Don't appeal to mine. Period. I'm moving like the God of the Old Testament. Like I said, let God sort them out. Give a fuck about them. Fuck them kids. If he stayed alive long enough, he was going to brainwash them to do the same thing as soon as they became sentient. We're not doing it. I'm not. Well, Devin, I can speak for you. I respect your heart. I respect your choice words. You see what I'm saying? I'm not trying to jam anybody else up. It's me. Fuck y'all. All of y'all. I'm not playing nice with fucking racists who choose to view my identity as some type of minor offense to them. Just my existence. Not even my employment. Not my personhood. Not my personal relationship with my wife, my family, living, traveling, doing what I love. Me being here is an inconvenience to them. Fuck y'all. And we're not even killing y'all, so don't get mad at me. Chase the incel niggas back. Chase them.
So, one quick thing I'll say before we really wrap this up. And this is the only place I push back on is the kids part, because at least our preliminary data shows that more and more, and this is why the whole Charlie Kirk thing is so insidious. More and more, we're finding that the racist parents are not having the same effect on their kids. Ironically, the direct family relationship is not breeding more racists. It's these outside third-party influences. More and more often, we're finding that kids are finding out that they're either, gay, straight, asexual, whatever. So they then aren't supported by these same ism parents, and they go another way. We're finding that more and more people have more and more access to different cultures, etc. So they're living another way. It's at least, I want to see more data on it, but at least from what I've seen preliminary, the direct family ties don't lead to direct family ties anymore.
That's cool.
Ironically enough. That's what I'm saying. I hate the fact that these kids are probably going to fall down this route because of the violence that's going to trigger them to go. It's the violence beget violence thing. Because their dad was killed, they're going to now believe his ideology just because they think, oh, I need to get back at the types of people that got my dad killed.
It was because it proved that idea right there.
Yeah, same ideology as your dad. So again,
that's logic, but that's the problem. Kids are not logical. They haven't grown into the logic yet, and because of that, it recreates the violence. Andre 3000 literally said, "I saw it was one of his songs that you saw his dad die, so he killed the guy that killed his dad. Like it's literally it creates the cycle because now they're looking for violence to fix the violence. Kids are too impressionable, and that's the only people I pity because of that.
I don't, but I respect both of y'all's opinions. I do.
Yeah,
I solemnly do. I don't stand by that. I hear what you're doing. If you're illogically killing people because of a misinterpretation of who your dad was or da 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 da, that's up to you. We're still gonna judge you like a piece of shit when you go to prison. Um, like your mom can suck a dick. You're a tabula rasa for all I care. But like if you do some negative shit in light of this, oh, you're a bitch just like your dad. That's where I stand on it. Don't give a fuck. Fuck him, he was a racist. Fuck his wife, she's a cunt and a Nazi. And kids, I hope you learn
hey,
from your
yo,
mistakes.
but yeah, no. So last words, Evan.
No. I pretty much said my piece.
Yeah, I think we've said all we're gonna say on this one. So as is tradition here on the Just No BS podcast, I leave you all with a final quote of the night. And the last bit of this conversation kind of crystallizes it all. So just keep in mind, everybody, peace cannot be kept by force. It can only be achieved by understanding. Albert Einstein. As always, I've been your host, John.
This is Dev.
This is God.
Stay good, people, and release the damn Epstein files. Peace.